Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome to today's live for me anyway, unboxing of a Christopher Ward C65 GMT Worldtimer. I've really been looking forward to getting into the packaging. This is only the second Christopher Ward that I've reviewed on the channel so far. The last one was a C60 Trident Pro that I reviewed around the middle of last year, so just about a year ago, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was excellent value for money and it was fabulously well constructed, so I'm expecting big things of this one. Now, I haven't been splashing my own cash again. This one belongs to my good friend Ashley. I'm sure you've heard the name before. He has loaned me a whole bunch of watches for review. He actually bought this one directly from Christopher Ward in London, had it shipped to me in Sydney. I get to peel off the stickers today for our mutual entertainment, and then I'll ship it over to him in Melbourne. So thank you as always, Ashley. Interesting brand, I think, Christopher Ward. They've been making watches now for close to a decade. They were one of the first brands to pioneer the direct-to-market, cutting out the middleman that is now the common model for micro brands the world over. Always a bit controversial though, not least of which for their styling, their brand name, and the placement of that brand name on their watches. I noticed that Mr. Ward himself, Christopher Ward, actually left the company a couple of months ago. I will be really interested to see where the company goes over the next few years, particularly with regard to their logo and their logo placement. Please leave me a comment, let me know what you think. They seem to have their fans, Christopher Ward's, but they also have just about as many detractors, and I was never quite sure why a company that split opinion so down the middle would choose to split opinion knowingly so down the middle. Anyway, enough waffle, Jody. Let's flip the camera and peel off some stickers. Alright, first up, big up Christopher Ward for the packaging. And I don't just mean the size of the box, I mean the materials used. I noticed this last time, but I didn't mention it. I then ordered a strap from them for my C60 Trident Pro, and it came all natural materials, all cardboard. Personally, I feel like a bit of a... oh, that was satisfying. One-man environmental wrecking ball sometimes. The amount of plastic that I receive, the amount of plastic that I go through. I always try and reuse it and if not recycle it, but it's nice to see a company taking that out of my hands and only using cardboard or environmentally friendly materials in the first place. And indeed, there we are, a little card inside reminding you that their footprint is tiny and they use environmentally friendly recyclable materials. So while I'm taking it out of its not inconsiderable packaging, let's talk about the price. On the Aussie website, these ones come up as 1,600 Aussie dollars. I reckon that's about 1,100 USD. Not the cheapest GMT that I have looked at on the channel by any stretch. Indeed, I have got one for review this weekend, which is about 750, but not bad all things considered. As I said, the last CW I reviewed, I thought the quality was excellent, and they do, as they've crowing about here, the 60-60 guarantee. So that's 60 days to return the product if you're not satisfied with it, and a 60-month movement warranty, which is excellent. Really, this is the best guarantee south of the big Swiss luxury brands, and this one isn't priced anything like the level of the big Swiss luxury brands. And a nice touch here, personalised for Ashley with his name at the top and the signature of Mike France, one of the CEOs and co-founder, at the bottom. Large instruction manual, which obviously I have no intention of reading, and the watch in the box. So as the thumbnail and the watch name suggests today, this not only has GMT functionality here with a fourth hand, it also has a Worldtimer bezel, and I'll show you both of those over the course of this short video. Let's peel off some stickers. And here's the big one. Always satisfying to peel the stickers off a watch for the first time. And this is something that I'd read about. It's a DLC case back. So unusual. I don't think I've ever seen this before. A stainless steel watch with a DLC case back. Christopher Ward have said that it's because that bezel, the outer there, is DLC and black anyway, so they decided to do that to the case back. So hey, it gives us one more sticker to peel nonetheless. Alright, so a quick polish and there it is. Now I believe this has a screw down crown, 150 meters of water resistance. So I will unscrew the crown, give the movement, there we are, popped a bit late, give the movement a bit of a wind, and hopefully we should see that second hand spring into life there, and indeed there it goes. So Sellita SW330 powered movement, this one. Now the SW330 is a clone of the ETA 2893, so it's a 26 joule I believe, hacking and hand winding high beat, Swiss made automatic with that 4th GMT hand. So one further pop of the crown should offer two different options to me. It should offer the GMT set if I roll it forward. There we are, moving in half-hour increments. And if I roll it backwards, I should be able to set the date, just like the 2893. I've never seen one of these, but I've seen plenty of those. Pull it out further, and it should offer the time set. Now, the GMT hand can be independently set, but only to the nearest hour. So it's not a true GMT in that sense, but it is good enough for most people. And there we are, that one lines up nicely. There's occasionally a glitch with some of these movements, but that one looks pretty good. Screw in the crown again, and we can have a play with this GMT bezel. All right, so GMT, I'm expecting bi-direction. Indeed, I get it. Now, it's not friction, but it's certainly not, maybe it's like 120 click bi-directional. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 27, 28, 29, 30. Indeed, 120 click bi-directional rotating world time bezel. So the idea being that you can set two time zones, your kind of home time obviously with the standard three-hander. There's that classic trident counterbalance to the second hand there, and you can then at any point adjust this world time bezel and get the time in any of the cities on that bezel, including Denver, Buenos Aires, Moscow, Hong Kong, Sydney, delighted to see Sydney down there, and Honolulu. For example, if you are in London and it is midday, what you do is you adjust the world time bezel around there so that the London lines up with the hour hand, and you can use this outer bezel to work out what the time is elsewhere in the world. So down here in Sydney, it says it's 10 hours ahead, but of course, when London is on its normal time, Sydney is on summertime, so that's 11 hours ahead. And when London is on summertime, you roll that back an hour, and Sydney moves to 9 hours ahead. So there's still a little bit of work to be done back and forth, but you get the idea. Frankly, it also looks really nice, which is the reason I suspect most people, including Ashley, have bought it. I think it's a great size. If it had been any bigger, it would have been a bit ungainly. If it had been any smaller, then this would all have looked a bit crushed. They say a 42mm bezel, slightly protruding from a 41mm case, you can see there, but only 12mm thick, and that includes a decent sized box dome sapphire there. Really nice finishing on that case as well. Christopher Ward logo on the crown. Very similar to the way that they scalloped the case of the Trident Pro. So not only is it actually fairly slim, but it feels even slimmer because of the weight that they've cut out and the bulk that they've cut out of the mid case. That is a 22mm lug width, decent taper. This is a 1960s look after all, so they're going for a decent size vintage taper. Kind of slightly bulky perhaps for the overall look clasp here, but it does have a built-in on-the-fly adjustment system, which I'll show you shortly. This one weighing in unsized, I'm going to leave Ashley with the fun of that, at 165 grams. And indeed, same system as the Trident Pro there. Pull that lever and you can adjust this one back and forth. Though I see they haven't bothered adding half links. I complained that really one of these is only optimized if you have half links in the last video. Looks like they didn't listen to me. And on wrist, that looks great, really nicely sized. I've got a 7-inch wrist for your reference. When I saw the stats on this one, I thought, oh, 22mm, maybe they could have gone 20 on the lug width, but I think that big taper on the bracelet really compensates nicely for the larger size of lugs. The whole watch kind of looks stout and purposeful without looking bulky. Ashley has got slightly larger wrists than I have. I think this will be perfect for him. I'll throw in a loom video here. I don't normally do this in an unboxing, but as there's going to be no follow-up review, I may as well. Looks like C3 Superluminova, plenty of it on the hands, the indices, and on that GMT hand, so you can still use that function after dark. And I'll finish off here with a bit of a macro montage and my Concluding thoughts and initial impressions about this Christopher Ward C65 GMT Worldtimer. To be honest, I think this looks better in the flesh than I had expected to from the renders. There's nicely polished indices, brush surface to the uppers, polished on the edges. The last CW I had was a bit of a light catcher. It really did play around with the ceramic bezel insert and so on. This one is certainly more subdued, and I think all the better for it. That GMT hand has been dipped in yellow there. I do like the yellow accents around the upper half of the 24-hour scale, and even that tiny little pip there at the 12 o'clock effectively. The London GMT marker on that outer world time bezel. The GMT hand dipped very nicely as well. The whole thing looks like a quality watch, which you would expect at the price, I guess. Really, the only potential neg that I can see from my initial handling of this watch is that logo placement and the logo itself, the brand name that I alluded to in the intro. I know some guys aren't that keen to have another man's name on their wrist. I've never really understood that one myself. I think that's a nonsense. But CW's insistent at slapping Christopher Ward in fairly big and prominent print at the 9 o'clock does make the dial look a bit off kilter, unbalanced and asymmetric. However, they seem to be sticking with their guns rather than bowing to convention and moving a logo to the 12 o'clock. As I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Does it put you off? Do you appreciate the individuality and them staying true to a path that they started out many years ago? But again, a big thank you to Ashley for sending me this one directly and allowing me to deflower his watch before he even got a shot of it. I'm sure he will be delighted with this one next week when it turns up at his door in Melbourne. Thanks for watching. I will see you in a future video.